Alright guys, since you guys really love it when I talk about shipping videos, I decided to, once again, talk about some of my favorite ships, and as always, see what you guys like in terms of, ships, as always. I'm always encouraging, as always I will not bash any ships, but I'll talk about why I like my personal ships, and why I kinda stay away from others. Maybe not so much here. But yeah, so as you can see, Invader Zim ships. Now, there's only a handful, really, of Invader Zim ships, and I really only have two that I really like. Those two being Zagar, which is Zim and Gaz, and Dater, which is Dib and Tack. Really, that's really the only reason. Those are the only two in the Invader Zim side that I really just hardcore ship. And I think, honestly, I like one more than the other. And I think I might know why. I don't know. Actually, I probably don't know why. I just kind of like one ship over a little more than the other. And yeah, let's talk about the one I think I like more than the other. That's Dater, which is Dib and Tack. Now, now you're probably wondering, well, why Dib and Tack? Dib wants to destroy all aliens. Well, before he knew Tack was an alien, he and Tack really got along. Him and Tack really had some great bonding moments. They definitely had a lot of it looked like they had a lot of chemistry together, and they both collectively hated Zim. Even when he found out she was an Irkin, he was still kind of like, man, I can't believe I turned on her. So yeah, I have this, and plus Dib doesn't really have a lot of friends, and by a lot of, I mean none. Even his family is very indifferent toward him. The reason why I really just like Dater is because, again, I feel like Dib and Tack have a lot of good chemistry. Both are kind of this witty, sarcastic, and borderline insane character, but then again, every character is totally fucking insane, so really, that's no that's no long stretch here. But I feel like Dib and Tack do have some good chemistry, and again, both are kind of like Tack is this very witty and very quick-witted and very sarcastic, very clever type character, and someone who can mentally challenge Dib. I think Dib needs someone who's very intelligent. I think he needs someone who's incredibly, someone who's smart and can keep up with at least half of the things he's saying in some of his psychotic rants. I feel like that's what he needs the most out of people, is someone who is incredibly intelligent and someone who can at least understand what he's saying, what he's trying to babble on about. Like someone who, when he says Bigfoot's real, he needs someone who can believe him. And Tack would probably be that person who would believe him, honestly. He's that type of person, Dib is that type of person who would need someone to believe in him. Someone who can give him that kind of level of confidence boosting. Really, that's really what he needs, more or less. And honestly, I haven't read a bad Tack fic, but a majority of them do kind of repeat themselves. Really, there are a good amount of Dater fanfiction that really just kind of repeat themselves. And I understand that's a good plot point. And the plot point I'm talking about is Tack returning for her ship. I've seen that in tons and tons of fanfiction of how Dib and Tack get together. And I don't understand why this is also, by the way, a very underrated ship. This is I feel like sometimes the Dater ship is kind of like at the bottom of the Invader Zim in the Invader Zim pyramid. I feel like that's the bottom one, really. The top one being I can't remember what Zader, I think that's Zader, which is Zim and Dib. That's at the top, and I feel like second place is Zim and Gaz. And again, I feel like the bottom one is Dib and Tack. I think even Tack and Gaz are higher than that on the Invader Zim shipping food chain. Because again, I feel like, and I can see why people ship Tack and Gaz together, because Tack and Gaz are, again, the very sarcastic and very terrifying women, so you literally have a power couple here. It's literally a power couple right out the gate. It is totally just 100% that, more or less. It is just totally that. So anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, but again, I like Dib and Tack because, again, they're, I just feel like they would play off each other very well. But again, like I was saying, it's very clear, a lot of the fanfiction is, oh, let's just go, I'm here for my ship. Oh, wait, hey, Dib, let's bone. Well, okay, it's not like it ends in, it doesn't end like every one of those ships, but still, it's the internet, people. Anyway, so there have been other fanfiction where Tack is just living on Earth now because she really has no place to go and just kind of lives with Dib. I've seen some of those fanfiction before, and yeah, that is pretty cool. The one thing is that sometimes Tack's written a little too... I can understand her being angsty, but her being... It's kind of like the same thing with when people are trying to write Marie fanfiction. Marie Kanker from Ed, Edd n Eddy, when they're trying to write fanfiction there, is that she's this tough soul, but she's, she's very hard, she's very hardened, but she's a softie on the inside, and she'll just break apart if you come at it, if you talk about it. And yeah, I can see that, but you have to understand that Tack nearly destroyed the Earth, She nearly, sucked out all of the Earth, Earth's magma to quintessentially put a ton of candy in there and as a gift for the tallest. And she knew what she was doing, she wanted to be an invader. Revenge wasn't really on her plate. It was more like, I'm just gonna take you out of the equation, Zim, and just just do this so I can finally be an invader. And that's kind of, that was kind of her whole spiel, really. That was kind of her whole spiel. But still, I feel it's the same thing with what I talked about Marie, is that she's proud of what she is. She thinks she's still an Urkin, and she's still very proud of where she is and where she came from. So really, that's kind of the same thing I said about Marie, is that even though she didn't have the best life, and she can get pissed about it, she still has a lot of pride to her. So yeah, that was kind of the big thing. Anyway, so yeah, so that's how I've always kind of seen Tack and Dib as probably my favorite ship. And of course, what can I say about Zagar that hasn't been said already? Zagar is just perfect, because Zim and if you write Zim and Gaz correctly, it could be probably one of the most hysterical couples and most psychotic couples. Both really don't care much for Dib. Both, Zim is this perfect, Gaz is this perfect foil for Zim to play off of, because he's very hyperactive, he shouts a lot, and Gaz is this very stoic and very cold and emotionless being, and she's totally terrifying. And if Zim could get close to her without it being totally OOC, then yeah, then you have another great couple here. But again, it was much like I've said about Double D and Marie. Yeah, Gaz would be wearing the pants in this relationship. She would totally be the one in charge of this relationship, and I feel like Zim would have to come to grips with that. Honestly, he would just have to be like, well, shit. Now I have to, now I have to take orders from a human, a very terrifying human that could kill me in my sleep. So that's kind of really all I have to say about Zagar. But yeah, again, it's kind of like I talked about with Tack and Dib, and again with Ed and Marie, with Double D and Marie, is that again, I feel like sometimes Gaz in some and I don't want to bash fanfiction here, I really don't, but sometimes I feel like Gaz is written in some fanfictions a little too, it's kind of like, again, the tsundere kind of syndrome with her. But yeah, Gaz is just scary for being, that's just who she is, She doesn't really have the best family life, but yeah, she doesn't, go, I'm sorry for being such a bitch. It's more like, I'm a bitch, deal with it and get out. That's kind of, actually no, it'd be more like, I'm a bitch, deal with it or get obliterated. That's probably how Gaz would probably see it, really. That's more along the lines of how Gaz would probably see herself, really. So yeah, that's kind of really it. And again, I feel like Gaz would be Zim would be Gaz would be a great foil for Zim, because he could just bounce around and yell and shout, and Gaz would just be sitting there with a newspaper, with her game slave. Why'd I almost say newspaper? She'd just be sitting there with her game slave, going, sure, honey, that's great, I don't know if she'd ever say I love you, but she'd probably be like, yep. Zim would be like, my love, pig! And Gaz would just look at him and go, you fucking idiot. And just go back to her game. And that's the closest he'd ever get to I love you from her, ever. And he would just be like, yes, fuck you too, bitch. I love you, Earth Stink. Like, that would be their equivalent to romance. I don't think it would ever get, like, you know, they probably argue sometimes, but I feel like it'd end up in every situation, Zim would be like, I'm sorry, honey. Anyway. So there you go. So, yeah, I know, that's kind of, like I said, those are the only two real ships I really have. Again, I don't want to bash any other ships. They're all pretty good. They all have some, you know, they all have some good reasons, behind, being shipped. But yeah, those are kind of my main two. Anyway, so you guys tell me, what are some of your Invader Zim ships? Just comment below, let me know. And as always, just explain why I really want to know why people ship the characters they ship with. So I'm always I'm always interested to see what people have in terms of shipping most of the time. I'm very interested, and especially with Zim, because Zim has, if it's one thing Invader Zim has, it's shipping. Oh boy, does it have the shipping. But not as much as, you know, some other shows. But it's up there. In terms of cartoon shipping, it's up there. It's really up there. Anyway, and yeah, and again, shipping was never a big thing in the show, so really, it's kind of like, you know, go crazy. It's one of those shows where you could be like, go crazy, really. Anyway, once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.